Speaker Ryan, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me.
My colleagues said they saw a bounce in your step this week after you made your announcement. Our few minutes that we've spent here, you look like a guy who's got the weight of the world lifted off his shoulders. Is that how you feel?
I feel great. Just making a decision is important. And when we had our final family dinner last Sunday night as a family to talk about it, it was just a great feeling. You and I are similar in that we lost our dads when we were young, and it just makes you think a little bit more about phase of life, family, and so I feel so good because I now know that my kids will not only know me as a weekend dad, and that's what's most important to me.
You retired as a politician. I heard you say you probably won't run for office again. Is this what this feels like?
Yeah.
You're done. Politics, this is a phase of life.
I mean, I'm going to, obviously, there's a lot of causes I care about. There's a lot of issues I'm going to be involved in, and I'll find ways of doing that. I certainly, you never say never, I suppose, but I just don't, I have no plans to do anything.
Is it fair to call you retired politician?
Sure. I mean, at the end of the fall, at the end of the year.
When you called President Trump, what did he say?
He was disappointed, but he understood.
You tried to talk you out of it?
He was disappointed. We have a good relationship. We've gotten a lot done together. And, I basically explained to him my whole family dynamic. And the thing is, I feel content because I've actually gotten a lot done, and I've gotten much of what I came here to do done. Not everything, but much of what I wanted to do. And, I feel like I've accomplished great things, and my kids aren't getting any younger. And I kind of just walked him through my thinking, and he said, well, I can't argue with that.
It's been a whirlwind, I would say, 8 years for you.
8 years? Well, I've been here for 20.
No, you have, but it's sort of on the national stage.
Yeah.
Somebody noted in alternative universe, you'd be in your 6th year of your vice presidency, perhaps the front runner for the 2020 presidential race. Right. Has that at all crossed your mind, like how things could have been different in 2012 and you'd be in a different place? The party would be in a different place.
Especially during the last term of Obama. I thought about it a lot. I mean, I just remember running into all these things that I disagreed with in Obama's second term, thinking, gosh, woulda, coulda, shoulda if we won 2012. So, but that's what this life is like. I am at the point where I feel so content and so blessed and so fortunate. I'm a guy from Janesville, Wisconsin, who never ever thought I'd be in Congress, let alone Speaker of the House, who came to get a number of things done that I believe in, and I've accomplished a lot of those things, and I feel really good about it.
Why do so many of us think if it were President Marco Rubio or President Jeb Bush, that you would have had a harder time?
Yeah, Gail King asked me that yesterday. It's really the timing of my family. So again, got done most of what I wanted to get done, and my kids are all teenagers now. And what I kind of learned, you and I were just talking about this, teenagers don't think the perfect weekend is spending all of their time with their parents on the weekend. So that's the other thing. My oldest was 13 when I took this job. Now they're all teenagers.
They're not interested in you coming.
Yeah, they're not as interested in spending all their time with you. So now I'm down to like Sundays and mass and dinners. And frankly, that's just not enough.
Let me ask you something, though, that you said you've accomplished as much as you could that you thought you came here to do. Charlie Sykes, you know him well, a longtime Wisconsin radio personality, said this: look, you can give him credit for the stiff upper lip, but no, he didn't, referring to accomplishing what you came here to do. When people write the history of this era, it will be the triumph of Trumpism over Ryanism. And that's got to be a bitter pill to swallow.
No, I just don't see it like that. One of the first things I fought for when I first got here was tax reform. It hadn't been done since 1986, the year I got my driver's license. That is now done. Since I've become Speaker, I spent a great deal of time with our intelligence community, our military, and I became greatly concerned about the state of our military. And so I really focused on a rebuild of our military. That is now done and underway. I'm very, very pleased with that. So there are enterprise zones. I worked on enterprise zone legislation when I worked for Jack Kemp.
I remember the enterprise
Empowerment zones are now a law of the land. So there are so many things that I've gone through. The one thing that obviously I care a great deal about is entitlement reform, in particular healthcare entitlement reform. I feel gratified that ever since I was budget chair, the House every term has passed a budget to balance the budget and pay down the debt, but we have not gotten that through the Senate or the White House. And I'm gratified that we passed a healthcare bill out of the House, the biggest entitlement reform bill ever, but it didn't go into law. It failed by a vote in the Senate. But one person's not going to solve all of those things. I feel like I've done a lot to advance that debate. And again, I'm not going away from the entire
No, but let's talk about
advancing these things.
Fiscal discipline. I want you to respond to something Bob Corker said. He said this Congress and this administration likely will go down as one of the most fiscally irresponsible administrations and Congresses that we ever had. And he's referring to the fact that this tax bill spiked the deficit. It's higher than even what was projected. And we're at $1 trillion. You walk away with $1 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see.
That was going to happen. The baby boomers retiring was going to do that. These deficit $1 trillion projections have been out there for a long, long time. Why? Because of mandatory spending, which we call entitlements. Discretionary spending under the CBO baseline is going up about $300 billion over the next 10 years. Tax revenues are still rising. Income tax revenues are still rising. Corporate income tax revenues, corporate rate got dropped 40%, still rising. Mandatory spending, which is entitlements, that grows $2 trillion over the next decade. Why does it grow $2 trillion? Because the boomer generation is retiring and we have not prepared these programs. So really, that's where the rubber hits the road. And I think the most irresponsible Congress is the one that created a brand new entitlement. That, to me, is the big mistake. And we can fix these programs and still meet the mission for them, but the way they've been designed in the 20th century doesn't work. That's the one thing that I really wish we could get done sooner rather than later, and I'm convinced it's going to happen. Why? Because it's got to happen.
All right, but one of the most backward things that Congress does is you know the amount of money you have to spend, and but you don't decide that first. You decide the tax cut first, and then you find out, oh, we have all this money to spend. All right, let's just do debt and just spend it. You realize that is a backward way of doing anything.
Yeah,
yes, this is Washington for sure.
No, but I think you make a good point. I think the budget process we have is fundamentally broken. I think it's irreparably broken, and that is why.
Irreparably?
Yeah, I think the budget process.
I mean, that's irreparably broken means you
can't
got to give up.
The current discretionary system we have, the current spending system we have, it's not repairable. You have to redo the system. So in the budget deal we did this year, we created a new joint select committee between the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, to redesign the federal budget system. I've always passionately believed the budget system here is a broken system, and you have to redo the system. You can't just paper it over. This is why we have a committee now between the House and the Senate, which is going to bring to Congress a new budget system. That is what we have to do if we want to get this under control. The House passes all of its bills. The House passed a budget to balance the budget last year. The House passed all of its appropriation bills. The Senate didn't do that because of the filibuster.
Still ended up doing an omnibus, which a guy like Thomas Massie says, you know what, you promised regular order, we didn't get regular order. What do you say to him?
We passed all these bills out of the House, and the Senate didn't pass a single appropriations bill, which means you end up with an omnibus. It's another piece of evidence that the budget process is broken. That is why I do not believe the Senate will ever pass 12 full appropriation bills in a given year, because of the way the Senate works. The House, we did all of that. We passed our appropriation bills before the deadline. That's my point in saying we need to work with the Senate and Democrats to redo the budget process, and that is why the budget agreement we have sets up this bicameral, bipartisan committee to figure out a new budget process.
But you know, you guys had budget caps in and you decided to blow through it. Was that a mistake?
Well, that's the military. I think, no, it wasn't a mistake because Patty Murray and I did a deal in 2013 which changed the budget caps. Then John Boehner and Barack Obama did a deal. The point being, the sequester was killing the military. The budget we have for the military now is still lower in real dollars than the military budget before it got cut 8 years ago. The point being, we had to rebuild our military. Look, we lost 80 people in the military last year in training accidents, 4 times as many people in combat. So I really felt the need to rebuild the military's budget because the military was getting hollowed out. Again, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the fact that we've got this military back on track, because that is one of the fundamental responsibilities of the federal government. It goes back to the point I was making originally. There are a few things that I really set out to do that we've been able to do. Not everything I wanted to do, but a lot of what I've been trying to accomplish, I've accomplished. I'm very proud of that. And I'm at this stage in my life with the family I have and the stage of life my kids are in that I feel like this is the right thing to do.
All right, and I keep going to come back to this, but I'm going to do something. Tim Alberto wrote this. When historians ask the obvious questions, how did the party of fiscal sanity become the party of the biggest spending increase in modern history? How did the party of family values become the party of grab them by the expletive deleted? How did the party of compassionate conservatism become the party of Muslim bans? The answers will implicate not just Trump, but Ryan and other Republicans as well. Yeah, the enabling, this whole idea of the enabling criticism.
So what do we do? We have empowerment zones in law for the first time since the idea was launched, say 25, 30 years ago. We've got tax reform for the first time in a generation that's done. And now we have unprecedented, we have economic growth. If you want to get this budget under control also, you have to have a growing economy. If you want to pull people out of poverty, off of welfare, into jobs, you got to have a faster growing economy. We have done that. We have done what needs to be done to get a stronger, more durable foundation under the economy. And by the way, we have more to do this year. That's one of the reasons I'm excited about our agenda. We're going to focus on career and technical education. We're going to focus on getting people from welfare into jobs. And we can do this when we have a strong growing economy, and that's a darn good legacy.
All right. Most of us look at you and Trump and say, you don't have the same vision for the Republican Party. You're making a case that you do.
We basically agreed on an agenda that we would work on it.
But do you have the same vision for the party?
I can't speak to that. You'd have to ask him that. We have, look, on trade, obviously, we don't agree on everything on that. We've
on entitlements, you don't
had,
either. He didn't want to make any cuts on that.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to realize that that's an important thing. He agreed with us. Look, 2 out of the 3 healthcare entitlement programs, he was there with us on healthcare. The fact of the matter is it didn't pass the Senate. If we would have passed that bill, that would have been the biggest entitlement reform bill Congress had ever considered, reducing the debt more than anything that Congress had ever considered. That bill passed the House last year. Unfortunately, it didn't pass the Senate. So on 9 out of 10 things, we're rowing in the same direction. And sure, no 2 people are going to agree on everything. We have different styles, we have different ideas, but it's a big tent party, and we represent different corners of the tent.
Let me ask you about Jack Kemp. You said an old Jack Kemp guy that believes strongly in inclusive, aspirational politics based on bringing people together and not exploiting divisions. It's not the brand of politics that's being practiced today. And you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
You're leaving. I mentioned Bob Corker, Jeff Flake. These are 3 people. You guys all have the same tone.
Yeah, Jeff's a buddy of mine.
Okay,
Actually.
you guys all have the same tone when it comes to American politics.
Yeah.
You don't believe the other side is an enemy of the American people.
Yeah, I don't. And this is the one thing that I say when I speak to young groups all the time, do not fall for identity politics. That's what I always tell young people not to do. And here's the problem. Identity politics, I think, was a craft of the left for a while, Alinsky, but now it's a craft. Now it's craft. Absolutely. It's now practice on the right. So my concern going forward, if I have to be one of these people who are saying, here's my concern of our politics in the state of America today, we should stop playing identity politics. I believe in inclusive, aspirational politics that brings people together. Identity politics practice on both the right and the left, which tries to exploit divisions between people. It is now being practiced with 21st century technology to devastating effect, and I think that is one of the things that contributes to the polarization that we're experiencing in America. And no, I don't think identity politics is right, and I don't think, unfortunately, it's been proven to work here and there, but I don't think it's the right way to go, and I think it's something that we all as Americans need to confront.
James Comey, a man of integrity?
As far as I know, I don't know him very well. I've 2 or 3 briefings about what I had with James Comey, but
Would you take him at his word? Would you trust his judgment?
Look, I'm not going to try and help sell some books
No,
here.
I understand that, but there's going to be a lot of questioning of his integrity and all this stuff.
I don't.
Is he somebody
I
that
don't
you think
know
is
the
a
guy.
slime ball?
I don't really.
Okay, I mean
So
that's what the president
I don't speak
called
like
him.
that. I don't use words like that. I don't
know.
speak like that. By the way, I wouldn't do that because you're just going to help him sell books. So I've met him 2 or 3 times in 2 or 3 briefings. I don't really know the guy. I'm not trying to be evasive, but what I don't want to do is join some food fight, some book-selling food fight. I don't see any value in that.
He has one critique of this institution, and here's what it is, and I'd like you to get you to respond to it. He says, I know there are men and women of good conscience in the United States Congress on both sides of the aisle who understand that the need for checks on leaders, but not enough of them are speaking out. They must ask themselves to what or to whom they hold a higher loyalty, to partisan interests or to the pillars of democracy. Their silence is complicity. It is a choice, and somewhere deep down, they must know that. He's referring to all the attacks on the law enforcement community, all the attacks on this idea that somehow the FBI is biased and they're doing all of these things and things are rigged and the attacks on it. Are people not standing up enough for our law enforcement?
I don't think that's the case. First of all, if we in the legislative branch see abuses or possible abuse of civil liberties by the executive branch, it's our job to oversee that stuff. It's our duty in Article 1 as representatives of the people to conduct proper oversight of the executive branch. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, I think I've been pretty darn clear about this, that these career professionals should be left to do their jobs, and I've said that repeatedly.
Do you believe that if the Senate passes this bill to protect Mueller, protect the firing, you'll bring it up into the House?
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think he's going to fire Mueller. I think it would be a
Insurance
huge
isn't
mistake.
Insurance might not be necessary, but you buy it. No, I mean, this
Yeah.
is an insurance policy.
I don't think it's,
And
first of all,
Tillis makes the argument today that actually it's good for the president. Don't have this storyline hanging over the head. You actually get rid of the speculation.
First of all, I don't think he should be fired. I think he should be left to do his job. And I don't think they're really contemplating this. We've had plenty of conversations about this. It's not in the president's interest to do that. We have a rule of law system. No one is above that rule of law system. I don't think he's going to be fired. I don't think he should be fired. And I think I just leave it at that.
Before I let you go, there's some chatter that you shouldn't finish as speaker. There's some allies. I think it's Tom Graves, a member of the conference, who's a supporter of Kevin McCarthy.
Sure.
They make the case that, hey, there's uncertainty. It'd be better to know who the team is going forward. What do you say?
Yeah. We've all discussed this, and we think the smart thing to do is to actually stay an intact leadership team. There's so much more I can do to keep continuity. We have a great leadership team. There's so much more I can do to help keep this majority.
Do you have a preference, Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah, I think Kevin. Look, I think we all believe that Kevin is the right person
to be the next leader.
Yeah, we all think that Kevin is the right person.
You say we all. Are you speaking?
We are our leadership team. I'm saying. I'm not
So
saying every single person in
So
Congress.
Steve Scalise, it's your understanding that he believes that
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy should be the heir apparent, whether it's leader or speaker.
That's right. That's right. Well, I fully anticipate handing the gavel over to the next speaker of the House after this term, and I think Kevin's the right guy to step up. One of the reasons, let me say it this way, one of the reasons why I was comfortable making this decision is because we have a very capable leadership team, and I sense.
Why do you think he'll do it?
I
He'll be able to get the votes this time.
I think we'll have.
Remember,
a
you're
seamless
speaker
transition. Yeah.
because he couldn't get the
I
votes
know.
last time.
I know.
What's changed?
So what's changed is we have gotten a lot done. What's changed is we came together as a team in 2015. We put together an agenda. We ran on that agenda. We won the election. We are executing that agenda. We're getting it done. So what's changed is this leadership team has come together and gelled. This conference has been unified. And we've actually moved the ball and gotten things done. That's the point I'm trying to make, which is we have a great story to tell. We have a great record to run on. We have made a huge positive difference in people's lives, and people are more confident as a result of it. More jobs are being offered. Bonuses are being handed out. And so we have made a difference in this country. This leadership team has done that. And so I really do envision a more seamless transition versus, say, the time when I came in.
Is this going to be formalized? You want to have
No,
the
I don't think we
conference
do
have a vote now? Or
No.
Okay.
I don't think that. I think what we want to do is focus on getting our jobs done. What we want to do is focus on executing our agenda, focus on fighting for our majority, and all these other things would be needless distractions from the task at hand.
Speaker Ryan, I know we're running out of time, so I'll leave it there. A lot of people have been congratulating you. Is it worth being congratulated for walking away, in your mind?
I don't see it as walking away. It's like I have done what I came to do that I can get done, and I'm a dad, and that just is what it is.
Mr. Speaker, we'll see you in Janesville.
See you in Janesville.
You got it.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.